Well, I guess we all know what the red in Christmas is for now. Strictly an observation. Violent Night was directed by Tommy Wirkola and stars David Harbour in the titular leading role as Santa Claus. This movie follows Santa Claus as he's heading off on another one of his years to deliver gifts to all the kids who have been nice. He tells a story of how he's been the OG one all along, but on a certain trip to a certain down certainly family's chimney, he discovers that they've been taken hostage, and it's up to him to save Christmas, their fortune, and their lives. Now, before I get into talking about the movie, I have to say something that might be obvious to anyone who watched this movie if you're thinking the same thing I was. And that is, during this movie, I got very, very strong Die Hard vibes. Like, the fact that in this movie, there's this girl, she has a direct communication, their little girl in the house, to Santa Claus' walkie-talkie, remind me of the police officer in Bruce Willis in Die Hard. There are certain action sequences that play out extremely similar to Die Hard. The guy who's just come for the holiday, who unwittingly is thrown into the middle of this. There is just a lot in there. The way Santa Claus quips, he reminds me of Bruce Willis' character from Die Hard a lot. So I think there's a definite influence on this movie because it's pretty obvious and blunt. However, aside from that, and just on the movie as a premise as a whole, I think it's pretty good. This movie takes a very fun, interesting premise and blows it out of proportion in every way possible, and for the most part does a really good job. I think the movie can be a little meta, which I'm getting kind of tired of the meta jokes. It has some tropes in it that have been seen so many times in action films that the movie became sort of predictable. But despite that, there's fun in it because of the performances, particularly David Harbour as Santa Claus, who is absolutely phenomenal in here. His charisma is what really carries this movie because he has this sort of fun, quirky, sarcastic way about him. Like, he's exactly the opposite of how you would think Santa Claus would act, but it's perfect for this movie. His attitude and his characterization is just perfect. I loved it to pieces. He was the driving force through the physicality, the dialogue, the performance, everything that made this movie as good as it could be. Another thing is the action here is really good. The people who made this have done Nobody, they've done John Wick, they've done Bullet Train. These people know their shit, and they know how to sell an action scene on screen and make it really bloody. And they do that in here, and it was fun to see, especially seeing Santa Claus in hand-to-hand combat and using makeshift weapons that he can find and weapons he's picking up to fight bad guys. Like, it's kind of a weird thing to like, but it's entertaining as hell to watch. So I think that's something that's very much a selling point of the movie, is just seeing that. It's so loony, because in this movie you have to believe Santa Claus is real. He's like this loud, laid-back guy who drinks, and you have to understand Santa Claus is not fake in this movie. He's real. Like, and that's even something they have in the movie. The bad guys are like, this is not the real Santa Claus. This is some dude dressed up like Santa Claus. This is what it's got to be. Because it pokes fun at that, so that way you kind of come along for the ride, and in a way you get what's going on with these bad guys. It's just a lot of stupidity that pretty much in the end amounts to just pure entertainment. But I'm all in for that before the holiday season. It's just something to pass time and enjoy yourself with. And something that probably will be on TV in a few years, that if it's on edited for television, of course, I'll flip it on and watch it. Because overall it was very good, and the jokes were funny, and the action was great, which is pretty much all I was waiting and hoping for. This movie looks fantastic. The direction is great. I just had a lot of fun with it. There's not much to be, like, talked about in the movie other than there's action, and there's fights, and there's jokes, and there's swearing. And Santa Claus, every time he kills someone, is like putting people on the naughty list, which is hilarious, and he uses his magic for him, and it's anything that you could think of thrown at the screen, and they just see what lands and sticks. I don't have a big problem with that. I respect that, and I respect that at least someone came up with an idea that was semi-original, so they could put it out around this time of year so I could have something to watch to completely laugh my butt off at, and that's what this was. I would recommend you to go see this movie. I think it's fun. It's obviously not for the full family. This is a pretty R-rated R, so I wouldn't take kids to see it. That's up to you. But as for me, I think if you want to go see it as an adult or someone over the age of 16, you'll probably have a lot of fun with it. It's completely dumb, and it's kind of something that's satisfying, though, at the same time. I'm going to give Violent Night a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see y'all next time.